Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mark Loeffler Experience. We have another great Thoughts from the Boat. We have a guest with us today, as my good friend Ian Szabo just bought a cottage on my lake. So now he's going to become a derelict like me and basically not do anything other than hang out on the boat. And yeah. Oh, we also have Missy the dog, I'm sure, who will make an appearance in this episode. We're going to be talking about developing instinct. Everybody gets that point where, like, you can just walk into a house and you know it's a good investment, right? Like, yeah. you can walk in and be like, oh, I know I can do this, 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 and this. This is what it's going to cost me. I can buy it for this, and I'm going to rent it for this, and here's my sell price. And you know, we're going to talk about how you get to that point. Oh, here's Missy the dog, everyone. Oh, kisses. Oh, yes. Yes. Missy the dog is Ian's dog. My dog doesn't jump like that anymore. She's 15. Let's talk about developing that instinct. What does that look like? How do you get to that point?
I think it starts with experience, or it starts with hiring the right person. I know, like, when you're showing houses as a realtor, you can walk into a house in like 30 seconds and say, this is a great deal. But getting the client to that point is extremely challenging because they don't have the experience of what you see and what you record in your brain. So, like, I think the biggest way to capture that instinct is to see as many houses as you possibly can, run the numbers on the houses. And as you know, in investments, it's not emotion, it's just numbers.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy once you know what things are worth pre-renovation and after repair value. You can pull everything together in the middle and actually figure out if that's a good deal. But I remember when I first got my license, I was like, to my clients, if you're not going to buy it, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
And they thought it was like a gimmick, like, yeah, whatever. Like, that's the best way I built my business. And I actually bought like 5 or 6 in a row. And then people were like, this guy's like.
and you're making good money on them. Like,
yeah,
you're either flipping them or turning them to rentals or doing whatever, right?
Absolutely.
I'm a brand new investor. I want to develop this instinct. I've gone through a couple courses. I've read some books. How do I get to that level? What's the first thing I do? I mean, I tell this to new realtors all the time, that if you don't know the market, you're going to go out and look at open houses. You're going to go out and look at properties. You're going to do previews, right? You're going to preview properties, and you're just going to look, and you're going to run the numbers. I mean, if you went out and looked at 20 properties and ran numbers on 20 properties. You know, if you did that 100 times, right? I mean, wasn't that Robert Kiyosaki used to say that? Go look at 100 houses. You look at 100 houses before you buy one.
Yeah.
I mean, that may be true, right? When you're brand new, you may look at 100 houses before you buy one. I mean, I hope you're not my client or Ian's client yet. You know,
not for long, anyways.
Not for long. I mean, that's like
not to be rude.
Not to be rude.
But I think when you get to a point of you're working with an investor agent or an agent that's used to buying investment properties, there's only emotion when you're buying your personal residence. So when you're buying an investment property, here's 3 properties. Do the numbers work in all 3? Great. Which one works for you? And I think a lot of people think one of the biggest things as a realtor when I'm doing this, I actually say to my clients, if you're not going to buy it, I'm going to buy it. And I'm not saying it to get the sale, because it actually makes more sense for me as an investor to buy that property and make the commission and do all the work and the renovations and bring everything up. So it's, in a way, it sounds arrogant, but it's like I can make the commission and make the profit and make everything in the package. So when we're working with investors, there's a certain type of client that I'm looking for, and there's a certain type of client you're looking for. And it's not really the education of teaching. It's more of the trust that we've built and the reputation and how to get things done at a good value and make money. It's a different game, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that's step 1 is go look at 100 properties. Step 2 is run the numbers on. You need to run the numbers on 100 properties. You need to become the expert in the rents, because I mean, we can tell you what something's going to rent for, and you know, you still need to be that expert. I mean, especially if you're going to go out and get joint venture partners down the road or whatever, you're the expert partner, right? You need to be the one selling this to somebody else as well at some point. You need to sell yourself first and then sell it to somebody else. So that's step number 2 is running the numbers. Going out, go look at a bunch of rental properties. I mean, you can look on the internet. You can get a lot of information from the internet right now. Yet nothing beats, going into something that's listed for $1,200 or $1,300 as a rental, and you go in and you're like, man, this isn't very nice. And you were thinking your nice property you're going to get $1,300 or $1,400 for, and it's like maybe you're going to get $1,600 or $1,700 because that's what the market is bearing. And I mean, obviously, we're both in areas that the rent is going up significantly, right? Year over year. I mean, Hamilton was up 10 or 11%. I just read in the paper the other day. You're probably pretty close to the same, right?
Yeah, pretty close.
And this is why, when we're buying, like I like to buy from older investors who own apartment buildings. Honestly, they've paid off a mortgage. They don't want the headache of chasing the higher rents and higher rents. They'd rather just go ahead and get 40% of market value, but have their pick of 20 people, and they'll pick the older person who they'll never have trouble getting rent from. They'll never hear from. There'll be no complaints. There'll be nothing that, right? Anyways, we digress.
They're not running a business.
Well, they're not running a business. So, I guess that step 3 is run a business. Start with the end in mind. How many properties do you want to own? Mm-hmm. Right? Because if you want to own 1 or 2 properties, then, that's different than owning 20 or 30. And, so becoming that, the real estate Jedi, I guess, where you walk in and the force is strong in this one, right? That's just takes time, and Malcolm Gladwell talks about 10,000 hours, right? So if you think you're going to become a real estate investor overnight, where you get that instinct, it just takes time, and it's just a matter of how much time you want to dedicate now. So in a month, you're that much better. Or in a year, you're that much better. We had Josh Doyle on. We've had a whole bunch of people on, like Mandy Branham's a great example. They went from 0 to 170 doors in no time flat, right? And that was just because they hustle. They go and look at a whole bunch of stuff. And now the instinct is they can basically drive by a property and say, yep, that's going to work, or no, it isn't, right? With some basic information. I'm to the point where I don't even need to, I don't need to go into an apartment building to know if it's going to work for me or not, right? Mm-hmm. I can go ahead and put an offer in and make a deal without ever seeing the property. Obviously at some point I'm going to go and do my inspections and stuff like that. Yet, getting to that point is kind of what we're talking about, right?
I think a lot of it is personal limitations around money. And a lot of times I'll notice with clients or other people that are like, I have to get a deal. But they don't understand that the deal is not necessarily the purchase price. Yeah. The deal could be on the end value. The deal could be the after repair rentals. The deal could be, what am I taking and what am I turning this into? But a lot of people want to win in every single step. Yeah. And not see, do you want to win or do you want to be right?
Yeah. Well, hold on. Do you want to win or do you want to be rich?
True.
Or wealthy, right? A lot of people, I've said it on here before. I've had a bunch of comments on a bunch of stuff I've put on either social media or on my YouTube where people are like, well, I can't buy a house where I live. And I'm like, who cares? Rent where you live. Go invest somewhere. It doesn't matter. You don't need to own your personal residence to go and purchase rental property. We digress a little bit. We're talking about becoming a real estate Jedi and developing that instinct, right? So what other... obviously money limitations, so it's not trying to get that best deal. Sometimes it's walking in and saying, okay, here's fair market value. I'm perfectly okay paying fair market value or even above market value because I know typically what I can do to the property and where that value is going to end up for me. So as long as I have enough cushion, I'm typically okay with that. But becoming running the numbers, running the after repair values, that's really how what lets me become that and say, okay, yeah, I can overpay that for that, right? I can go ahead and be, if there's 10 offers on it, I can be the highest bidder because, I know
you're confident where it can go. And I think a lot of people in the beginning are like, am I going to make a mistake? Am I going to lose 10 grand? Am I not negotiating enough? I have this all the time. It's too easy. Yeah. People say the deals are too easy. It's not too easy. It's just you know how to manipulate them and get them to work for you and your client.
Well, I mean, we do make it look easy, I think, at some point, right? I don't know, you build triplexes without even breaking a sweat. I mean, and so it seems. I know that there's some behind the scenes there
problems,
where you're busting nuts and doing whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I do the same thing on my apartment buildings, but I mean, maybe next week we'll go visit and I'll show you the landslide we had and some of the issues we had. I'll walk you through some issues that we're having right now. But yeah, I mean, so what else? Becoming a real estate Jedi.
So yeah, I think there's a couple of things that they need to kind of look at. Is the first thing is you're either going to put in the 10,000 hours or you're going to put in the 2,000 hours or 1,000 hours, but then you got to rely on someone that's actually done it.
Yeah.
I run into this every day with people that have bought duplexes or triplexes or bought buildings that they can turn into businesses, and they have no idea that they can even do it.
Yeah.
Like, I think you need to either do two things. One is you need to rely on an expert to help you do it, or you need to research everything yourself. The best is a combination too, I think.
Yeah. Well, and then it's actually you hire an expert and it's listen to that expert. It's like, if I hire an architect and an engineer, I'm not sitting there arguing with the engineer. I mean, that's his profession, right? You hire a professional to help you with investments. I mean, if you're going to argue with that person, I would just go ahead and do something else. I mean,
well, everyone's a real estate expert, right?
Well, everybody's a real estate expert.
They can see what houses sell for now, right? So
yeah, that's
true. They don't need a realtor anymore.
Well, and here's the thing, and you can go ahead and know your after repair values, right? And if you go ahead and you walk through 100 properties, you go through open houses, you do whatever, and then now you can look and see what the real estate prices have sold for, right? So yeah, you don't need to go ahead and bother your realtor to get everything anymore, which again, we're more than happy to set up stuff that it comes automatic, but that's part of it, right? Knowing your after repair value and going through those numbers. I mean, it's trust. So, and you said another great point where is, a lot of people are afraid of losing $10,000, right? And I mean, the amount of times I've lost money, but those are some of the best lessons I've ever learned, right? So, I mean, again, why you should work with somebody who has actually lost money in real estate, because, they're going to help you avoid that. And that's when it becomes too easy. And, people think, oh, I can just do this with anybody. It's like, great, go ahead, right? Like and sometimes you can, you've become that expert. I don't know, what do you think about that, right? Like losing the money or.
Well, I think a good example is 2008, we did a flip together.
Yep.
And we almost lost a lot. We made $5,000, which was great when the market, we listed what day?
The day Lehman Brothers collapsed.
Yeah. And I think
2009, actually.
We were talking about this the other night, and I think that was one of the most important lessons I ever learned. I changed my whole business because of that. I said, I do not want to be in this position where I'm doing flips with one income.
Yeah.
And it morphed into a completely different thing, which has been great.
Well, and for me, it was, 6 months later, I saw we could have made an $80,000 profit, and I'm like, how many of these am I selling short?
Yeah. Right?
Like, how many of these am I leaving so much money on the table? And I went back and I looked at all the flips I had done, and it was like, if I had just held these and rented them and had somebody pay down a mortgage for me, I would have made a heck of a lot more money with a heck of a lot less energy or time. So that's when I changed my business model to more of a buy and hold as well, where I was more of a flipper and I used to turn a lot more before. So guys, becoming the real estate Jedi, get out there, look at a ton of properties. Don't be afraid to lose money. Don't be afraid to invest in yourself in education as well, because that might help you. That $2,000 in education might save you $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. Don't be afraid to listen to the professionals you hire. What else?
Don't be scared to partner with someone that knows more than you on the whole transition. I partnered with you in 2008 because I wasn't good with all the numbers.
Yeah.
Right? Like partnering is the fastest way to get to where you want to go without that huge learning curve. Just JV with someone and get someone else to leverage their experience and plug into their business and still win.
Yeah. Missy, what do you think?
Missy, she's like, where's the treats at?
Yeah.
Say bye, Missy.
All right. Bye, guys. We'll see you guys in the next one. If you haven't, like and subscribe. Let us know what we missed, what you think we should add to become a real estate Jedi. All right, guys. Have a great one. We'll see you next week.
Take care.